Hey everyone, it's the Doomdog. You know, the 7th generation of video games was a truly special time for gaming. The launch of the Xbox 360 in 2005, and a year later, the PlayStation 3 brought with it numerous changes. On top of the obvious ones, such as making online a huge focus and an industry-wide standard, and hard drives for more storage, it brought with it a huge leap in both resolution and color depth. For the first time, console games would have high resolution as a standard. This brought with it new types of televisions. While there are high-definition CRT TVs, the vast majority of them are flat-panel displays. This allows for larger TVs that are much lighter and easier to deal with than old CRTs were. It also brought with it sharper and more high-resolution pictures with better color depth and black levels. And it has only gotten better as time has gone on. Having said that, not everything has survived the upgrade unscathed. Gamers have long been dealing with problems introduced with the high-resolution era, and that is the 6th gen consoles and earlier are not built for high-definition TVs. They were intended to be displayed on old CRTs because that is what we had at the time. And they frequently do not display correctly on modern televisions, or they look significantly worse than you remember them looking. Some of this might be prescribed to the age of these games, but your eyes are not playing tricks on you. They do tend to look worse on modern TVs than they did on your old CRT that you used when you first played them. Why is this? Let's talk about it. You have a few different display options for your old consoles. The first is the standard yellow cable, called composite video. This mixes the different colored video streams into one single video signal and ultimately creates something of a low-resolution blurry mess. It sucks, and you do not want to use this unless you have absolutely no other choice. To compound things further, these frequently display games at 240p, especially on 5th generation consoles and earlier. Most modern TVs interpret it as 480i signals. This results in a blurrier image. One step up from that is S-Video. This gives you a sharper image than composite by splitting the video into two and gives you sharper colors. It also frequently darkens the image as well. I am not sure why this is. It might just be better black levels. You do not want to use this either unless you absolutely have to. Most modern TVs do not even support this anymore, as it has never been an industry standard despite being better than composite. The next step up is component cables. This is the red, green, and blue cables, and this is a massive step up from S-Video. The depth of color is much better with a much sharper and much more gorgeous image, and it is capable of displaying in higher resolutions, those being 480p, 720p, and 1080i. The PlayStation 2 and original Xbox consoles do support component out. If you still play these consoles, there is a good chance that this is what you have been using, and it is a decent solution. It is not perfect, as TVs will frequently force your image into widescreen, and you have to adjust your TV's settings to full screen image to get it to look properly, or it will be elongated. With the Xbox, this is frequently not a big deal, as there are a lot of games on it that do support widescreen. The PlayStation 2, on the other hand, most of its games are full screen and 480i. As long as your TV is alright displaying that, component is fine, and it works great for anything widescreen and progressive scan. Having said that, it's not a perfect solution. 480i is not an ideal resolution, and any game that does not have widescreen option is likely to be forced into widescreen. Beyond that, there are even some newer TVs that don't even support component outputs at all. The absolute best solution is to hook up as many of your old consoles as you can through HDMI. How do you do this though? Well, many people have been working on solutions for this for years now. People have come up with solutions such as the RetroTank, the open source scan converter, and the FrameRister. There is one problem with these, however, and that is that none of them are cheap. Unless you have the spare cash to spend on such solutions, you need to find another way. Finding the right balance between being cost effective and getting good visual results is the real challenge here. That brings us to the subject of today's video. Today we are taking a look at the Hyperkin HDTV cable for the PlayStation and PlayStation 2. This is an HDMI cable for the PS1 and PS2 that outputs a 720p video signal and seeks to give you a clean and gorgeous video signal for those old consoles to make them look significantly better on modern televisions. In the package, you get both the cable itself and a USB cable. It does require external power to work properly, and it does not come with a wall plug. You will have to either use one you already own or plug it into something else such as a PC. That does kind of suck, but USB ports are common enough at this point that it is probably not a huge deal for most people. On the cable itself is a small box. Take a close look at this and you will notice a small switch on it. This will switch the cable's output between widescreen and full screen. This is a wonderful feature and I absolutely love it. Displaying games at the correct aspect ratio is as simple as flipping the switch back and forth between widescreen and full screen. Every solution that I have tried before this does not have this, so it's a wonderful addition to this cable. Unless you already read the instructions, when you plug these cables in and boot up your PlayStation 2, you will probably get a screen that looks like this. Well, this certainly doesn't look right, does it? That's because this cable is expecting an RGB video signal. You will need to go into the console settings and switch it. Yeah, that looks better. With that out of the way, how does this look displaying games? Well, here is Shadow Hearts from the New World, a good turn-based role-playing game. There are no special features such as widescreen or progressive scan. It is a full-screen 480i game. But I must say, this cable does a decent job of displaying it. The game looks pretty damn good here. But showing you the game by itself does not show you how it differs from previous display options. Let's take a look at a side-by-side comparison with component cables. I should say that I do not have a way of recording directly off of component cables. Your results with the cables may be a little bit different than what I'm showing here, as I recorded this off of a component to HDMI cable that outputs at 720p and forces widescreen. I did a review of this device. I will leave a link in the description below for you to check that out. Having said that, look at this. Look how gorgeous everything is. Look how sharp the HDMI cable is. Look how vibrant the colors look. I am very impressed. The HDMI cable looks better than I thought it would when I bought it. This really makes the game look great. And it looks sharp on your TV as well. It does not force widescreen unless you want it to. Thanks to the Switch, it just looks great. What about widescreen games then? Hey, Dookie03, I hope you're paying attention because I chose this game just for you. This is Dragon Quest VIII. It displays at widescreen, but it does not have a progressive scan feature. You will want to flip the switch on the box to get the aspect ratio you want and make sure that you turn on widescreen mode in the options menu. With or without the HDMI cable, this just looks better in widescreen. But how does it compare to standard components? The component cables do look better here than it did with Shadow Hearts, because you can flip it to widescreen and make it not look elongated. Even then, I think the HDMI cable looks better. Look at the colors on the clothing of the characters. The color depth just looks flat out better with the HDMI cable, and I love it. Once again, I'm impressed with the cable. When I was looking through my games, I took note of just how many of these games got remastered for modern consoles. I own a lot of games for the PlayStation 2 that got remastered on newer consoles, and this presented me with a problem. Is there a point in showing off games for the PlayStation 2 when I know that there is a better version of the game out there for you to buy? Upon discussing this with fellow creators, it was suggested to me that I show how the remaster looks in comparison to the original, and this is what I have decided to do. This is the PlayStation 2 original version of Devil May Cry, a hack-and-slash action classic and a game that has been remastered twice. The original trilogy of games were released on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and later the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. You can pick up the better versions on any of those consoles. Here it is with a side-by-side comparison of the HDMI cable and the component cables recorded off of the PlayStation 2. This is an early PlayStation 2 game, and it is a 480i in full screen resolution. Once again, the HDMI cable looks better than the component cables, though I don't think the gap here is as large as it was with the previous two games. I think that this is mostly down to a darker and more muted color palette. Still, it is impressive. Of course, this is not the best way to play this game. Here is the Xbox 360 version of the game, and it looks sharp. It runs at higher resolution, the jagged edges are smoothed over, the textures look better and sharper, the color is better and more vibrant. The cutscenes have not survived unscathed, but the in-game graphics look better than ever. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the three versions, and you can see that the Xbox 360 version is the best version to get. The PS2 original is still fun to play though, and you will get a good visual experience with the component cables or the HDMI cable. The HDMI cable is your better option there. No matter how you play the original Devil May Cry, it is something that I would recommend at least trying. I love it. What about progressive scan games? This is Jak III. This is one of the PlayStation 2 games that could display in 480p as well as widescreen. Just like Devil May Cry, this is another game that got remastered, as the entire trilogy got a remastered package for the PlayStation 3. I will say that the PlayStation 2 version holds up quite well though. It still looks great. Unfortunately, the HDMI cannot display 480p video signal. This just sucks. With the component cables, you can display at 480p. Even when playing it through this component to HDMI converter for a 720p video signal, you can still have it display at 480p for a sharper image. This does result in a better overall image for the component cables. It does win this round. Once again, the best looking version of this game is the remastered version for the PlayStation 3. This is an excellent remaster. It is a fair bit better than the Devil May Cry remaster was. The game looks even better on the PlayStation 3. It is definitely the best way to play the game. Here is a side-by-side look. The component cables are excellent, as they can display it in progressive scan. The HDMI cable is a decent option, but I do think it is the lesser of these three. The PlayStation 3 easily looks the best. Of course, the Jak trilogy are excellent platformers. I love them to death, and I highly recommend playing them. There is no wrong way to play Jak and Daxter. Earlier I said that the cable worked with the PlayStation 1 as well, but I do not actually own a PS1. I can, however, give you an approximation of how it would look by showing you PS1 games played through the PS2. Here is Metal Gear Solid, and this is one of the best games ever made. That is a hill I will die on. I love this game to death, and it is one of the games that I have beaten more than any other. Looking at this side-by-side comparison, however, there is not a huge difference between component and HDMI. I do not see a huge difference anyway. This could just be that the PS1 has a lower resolution, pushed less polygons, and could display less on-screen colors than the PlayStation 2. I am not sure. I can tell you that it would be a good upgrade if you are playing it on an actual PS1, however, because the PS1 can only display through composite and S-video. Here is Spyro the Dragon. This is an excellent open-world 3D platformer from Insomniac, and the first of a trilogy of excellent games, all of which were remade for modern consoles this generation. I do notice more of a difference here than I do with Metal Gear Solid. Look at the green on the grass, and note that it looks a little bit more vibrant on the HDMI cable than it does on the component cables. It does look a little better, to be sure. If you happen to have a PlayStation 3, however, then you do own a better way to display your PS1 games than either the PS1 or the PS2, as it can offer smoothing options and a much higher resolution. It can display your PS1 games at a full 1080p full screen, and they look about as good as they can without running it through some sort of PC emulator. If you have a PlayStation 3, this is how I would recommend playing your original PlayStation games. All in all, I am glad I bought this thing. It will run you about $30 to get this cable. There are better options out there that are more expensive, of course, but for price to performance, this is a very good deal in my opinion. For the vast majority of games, this is a better option than the PS2 component cables. For games that have progressive scan mode, however, component cables will be your better option. Still, for anyone looking for a cost-effective way of getting decent video output of their PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1, this is a great option. I highly recommend picking it up. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. It has been a while since I have reviewed a cable or a converter like this, but they are fun to do. I will leave a link in the description below if you would like to purchase these for yourself. I have one more cable that I want to do for this, but my next video will be a big project. We will be taking a look at the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I hope you all are looking forward to it. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you have this cable? Are you planning on picking one up? If you could give this video a like and a share, it would help me out a lot. Be sure to subscribe for future updates. Talk to you later, everybody. Doomdog out.